Education in India is primarily managed by state-run public education system, which fall under the command of the government at three levels: federal, state and local, under various articles of the Indian Constitution and the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act, 2009. Free and compulsory education is provided as a fundamental right to children aged 6 to 14. The approximate ratio of public schools to private schools in India is 7 to 5. Major policy initiatives in Indian education are numerous. Up until 1976, education policies and implementation were determined legally by each of India's constitutional states. The 42nd Amendment to the Constitution in 1976 made education a concurrent subject. From this point on, the central and state governments shared formal responsibility for funding and administration of education. In a country as large as India, now with 28 states and 8 union territories, this means that the potential for variations between states in the policies, plans, programs and initiatives for elementary education is vast. Periodically, national policy frameworks are created to guide states in their creation of state-level programs and policies. State governments and local government bodies manage the majority of primary and upper primary schools, and the number of government-managed elementary schools is growing. Simultaneously, the number and proportion managed by private bodies is growing. In 2005 to 683.13% of schools offering elementary education, and in urban areas much lower. In the 2011 census, about 73% of the population was literate, with 81% for males and 65% for females. National Statistical Commission surveyed literacy to be 77.7% in 2017-18. 84.7% for male and 70.3% for female. This compares to 1981, when the respective rates were 41%, 53% and 29%. In 1951 the rates were 18%, 27% and 9%. India's improved education system is often cited as one of the main contributors to its economic development. Much of the progress, especially in higher education and scientific research, has been credited to various public institutions, while enrollment in higher education has increased steadily over the past decade, reaching a gross enrollment ratio of 26.3% in 2019. There still remains a significant distance to catch up with tertiary education enrollment levels of developed nations, a challenge that will be necessary to overcome in order to continue to reap a demographic dividend from India's comparatively young population. Poorly resourced public schools, which suffer from high rates of teacher absenteeism, may have encouraged the rapid growth of private schooling in India, particularly in urban areas. Private schools divide into two types: recognized and unrecognized schools. Government recognition is an official stamp of approval, and for this a private school is required to fulfill a number of conditions. Though hardly any private schools that get recognition actually fulfill all the conditions of recognition. The emergence of large numbers of unrecognized primary schools suggests that schools and parents do not take government recognition as a stamp of quality. At the primary and secondary level, India has a large private school system complementing the government-run schools, with 29% of students receiving private education in the 6 to 14 age group. Certain post-secondary technical schools are also private. The private education market in India had a revenue of $450 million in 2008, but is projected to be a $40 billion market, as per the annual Status of Education report. Since 2000, the World Bank has committed over $2 billion to education in India. Some of the reasons for the poor quality include absence of around 25% of teachers every day. States of India have introduced tests and education assessment system to identify and improve such schools. Although there are private schools in India, they are highly regulated in terms of what they can teach, in what form they can operate, and all the other aspects of operation. Hence, the differentiation of government schools and private schools can be misleading. However, in a report by Geeta Gandhi Kingdon entitled "The Emptying of Public Schools and Growth of Private Schools in India," it is said that for sensible education policy making, it is vital to take account of the changing trends in the size of the private and public schooling sectors in India. Ignoring these trends involves the risk of poor policies, legislation, with attendant adverse consequences for children's life chances. In January 2019, India had over 900 universities and 40,000 colleges. In India's higher education system, a significant number of seats are reserved under affirmative action policies for the historically disadvantaged scheduled castes and scheduled tribes and other backward classes. In universities, colleges, and similar institutions affiliated to the federal government, there is a maximum 50% of reservations applicable to these disadvantaged groups.